Welcome. We've been looking through the material you shared this week, really exploring that feeling, that heaviness when work starts to lose its meaning, right?
hmm That sense that something that used to feel so alive just feels flat now.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into that. We want to understand, why that spark fades and maybe, just maybe, how to start rekindling it.
Consider this a space to sift through those feelings together, looking for the core insights.
Yeah, finding some clarity. We'll start with those very first signs, the whispers that something's changing.
Then gently unpack some of the deeper reasons behind that feeling of emptiness.
And finally, look at ways to maybe reconnect with a sense of purpose. Sound good?
Sounds like a meaningful exploration.
Okay, so let's get into it. That feeling, it often starts small, doesn't it? Almost unnoticeable.
It really does.
Like maybe just a slight drag getting out of bed on Monday,
Yeah.
or that little bit of tension in your shoulders you only notice at the end of the day.
Or that quiet, restless feeling in your mind. You're thinking, but it's not really focused. It's just buzzing.
Yeah, and underneath it all sometimes, that almost unspoken question, is this it?
It's so easy to just brush that aside, though, isn't
Oh,
it?
totally.
Yeah.
You tell yourself, I'm just tired, or it's just stress.
Right. Anything but acknowledging that maybe your relationship with your work is shifting.
We see this pattern, this kind of scenario where someone starts out really passionate. Maybe they're a writer, a teacher, a designer.
Someone pouring their heart into what they do. There's that initial fire, that excitement.
Definitely. Getting started feels easy, almost effortless. Deadlines feel like opportunities, not just pressure.
But then slowly, things begin to change. It's subtle.
Maybe procrastinating a little more, staring at the screen, waiting for ideas that used to just flow.
Those fleeting moments of emptiness, quickly dismissed. Everyone feels like this sometimes.
And that gap,
Mm.
the one between how you want to feel about work and how you actually feel, it just gets wider.
The joy evaporates. What used to feel meaningful now feels mechanical, routine.
And then you might start trying to fix it, right? Sign up for a workshop, buy a book, seek out a mentor.
That search to recapture something you feel slipping away. It can feel almost frantic.
And when those things don't magically bring back the old feeling,
Then comes the guilt, that sense of, I should be passionate about this, why aren't I? A feeling of failure.
it really resonates because culturally we're pushed so hard to be constantly achieving, constantly passionate.
Absolutely. There's this narrative of relentless ambition.
So admitting you've lost the spark feels like a weakness. We're told just push through it, fake it till you make it.
But that advice often just keeps us stuck, doesn't it? It prevents us from actually listening to what's going on underneath.
So instead of just powering through, what's a different way? You mentioned bringing awareness to the here and now.
Yes, it's about shifting focus from fixing or forcing to simply noticing what is actually happening for you right in this moment.
Okay, so when you sit down to work, instead of just diving in or resisting, you pause.
You pause and you tune in. Is there energy there? A pull towards the task? Or is there a knot in your stomach? A sudden urge to check your phone?
So those feelings, that resistance, even the urge to get distracted, they're not just annoyances.
Not at all. They're data points. They're
Yeah.
signals about your authentic experience in this moment, but how you're connecting or not connecting with your work right now.
So the invitation isn't to immediately fight the resistance, but to get curious about it.
Precisely. To stay with that discomfort, that feeling of not knowing, just for a little while. Rushing to fix it can mean we miss the real message.
It's like trying to understand a subtle flavor by just gulping it down.
Exactly. We need to slow down and savor, or in this case, mindfully observe. This connects to what's sometimes called phenomenological awareness.
Okay, phenomenological awareness. Break that down a bit. How does that look practically?
Practically, it means noticing the specific quality of your experience without judging it. So if you feel bored, instead of saying, ugh, boredom is bad, you ask, what does this boredom feel like in my body? What thoughts are here with it?
So, observing without immediate judgment, like if you were watching someone else describe their feeling, noticing their posture, their tone.
Exactly. Those subtle cues often tell a deeper story than the words alone. Our bodies hold so much wisdom.
That connects to this idea of a cycle of experience you mentioned. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Think of it as the natural flow of how we engage with anything. It starts with the sensation noticing something.
Okay.
Then mobilization energy gathers towards it. Then action doing something. Then integration making sense of it. And finally, letting go completion, moving on.
And when that flows smoothly.
There's vibrancy, engagement, satisfaction. Life feels dynamic.
But interruptions. That's where the trouble starts. Like having an idea but immediately shutting it down.
Yes, that's an interruption right at the start. Or starting something, mobilization, action, but then abandoning it halfway through.
Leaving things unfinished.
Exactly. That's the key term. Unfinished business. Undigested emotions. Incomplete actions. They don't just disappear.
They pile up.
They accumulate.
Yeah.
Like carrying a backpack that gets heavier and heavier with unresolved stuff. It blocks your ability to be fully present and engaged now.
And we develop ways to cope with that discomfort, right? These defense mechanisms.
We do. Unconscious strategies to protect ourselves. Like avoiding anxious feelings about a task by scrolling social media instead.
It feels better in the moment.
Temporarily, yes. But it reinforces the pattern. The task becomes even more loaded with anxiety because you keep avoiding the feeling and the task itself.
And then there's intellectualizing, trying to think your way out of a feeling.
Right. Getting lost in productivity hacks or analyzing the problem endlessly instead of actually feeling the vulnerability underneath.
Trying to solve an emotional problem with logic alone. It doesn't quite work.
Rarely. And then there's projection. Seeing our own stuff in other people or situations.
Like blaming your boss entirely for your lack of motivation, when maybe part of it is your own internal struggle.
It could be. External factors are often real, of course.
Yeah.
But projection happens when we unconsciously attribute our own feelings, maybe inadequacy or frustration, onto someone else.
And owning that projection. It's not about blame, is it?
Not at all. It's about reclaiming agency. Realizing, okay, part of this feeling is mine, allows you to actually work with it, rather than feeling powerless.
This feels connected to that idea of merging versus differentiation, when our identity gets too wrapped up in our work.
Precisely. That initial I am a writer or I am a leader feels great at first. But if that's your whole identity, what happens when your work changes or you change?
It feels like your entire self is under threat.
Exactly. Differentiation is about recognizing my work is important, it's an expression of me, but it's not the entirety of me. My worth isn't solely dependent on it, and allowing yourself to evolve is key.
And the body. You mentioned the body holding things, that tension, the knots.
They're vital signals, not just random aches. They show where we're holding resistance, fear, unprocessed emotions related to our work.
So tuning into that knot in your stomach rather than ignoring it
Can lead to real insight. Maybe that tightness reveals a fear of failure, or maybe a deep longing for more freedom. It's about listening to that bodily wisdom, metabolizing the emotion, not just stuffing it down.
Wow. Okay, so understanding all the cycle, the defenses, the body signals, it starts with awareness. But awareness isn't the end goal.
No, it's the crucial first step. The next step is introducing small intentional shifts. Tiny experiment.
Like committing to just 5 minutes of writing whatever comes, no judgment.
Exactly. Or consciously noticing when you feel resistance and just breathing into it for a moment instead of immediately distracting yourself.
Yeah.
Small actions that gently disrupt the old pattern.
And also looking at unmet needs, right? Like, am I actually resting enough? Do I feel connected to people? Do I have any autonomy?
Absolutely. Setting boundaries, taking real breaks, seeking support. These aren't optional extras. They're fundamental to having the capacity to engage meaningfully.
And throughout this, being kind to yourself seems essential.
Utterly essential. Self-compassion, acknowledging that it's okay and actually normal to feel grief or anger or confusion when passion fades. Growth isn't linear. There will be setbacks.
And those setbacks aren't failures, they're learning opportunities.
Exactly. Opportunities to understand ourselves more deeply. So the invitation is really to become a curious observer of your own patterns. Where does energy flow? Where does it get stuck? What stories are you telling yourself?
Leaning into the questions rather than demanding instant answers.
Yes, because that spark you miss, it hasn't actually gone out. It might just be buried or maybe pointing in a new direction. The work is creating the conditions for it to reemerge naturally. And that starts with presence.
Okay, so we've looked at why the spark might fade. Now, how do we actively work towards, well, reclaiming the present? Maybe building a different kind of relationship with work.
It often starts very simply. Maybe right now, just taking a conscious breath, feeling your feet on the floor, noticing what's here in your body. This moment is the starting point.
It's not about trying to magically jump back to how things used to be.
Not at all. It's about meeting yourself right where you are now. Imagine standing at a crossroads. You see the path behind you, the effort spent, maybe some disappointment. The path ahead is uncertain.
A bit scary, maybe?
Perhaps. But there's also a quiet invitation there. Not just to reclaim who you were, but to discover who you are becoming.
And that resistance we talked about, reframing it not as an enemy, but as a messenger.
Exactly. That feeling of, I don't want to do this, isn't necessarily laziness. It might be signaling a need for change, for realignment.
So instead of fighting it,
Get curious. What's underneath it? Allowing that feeling, exploring it gently, might reveal unmet needs, unprocessed grief, old stories that need attention. And acknowledging those things creates space.
space for healing, maybe?
Yeah.
And for something new.
Yes. Which leads to the idea of experimentation as a path forward.
Like that non-judgmental journaling idea, just letting things flow.
Precisely. Playful exploration. Showing up without the pressure of perfection or specific outcomes. Just seeing what emerges.
Because insights can come from unexpected places when we let go of control a bit.
Often, yes. The patterns, the desires, the fears, they can surface more easily when we're not trying so hard. And this connects to redefining what success even means.
Moving away from just external validation, promotions, praise.
And tuning into intrinsic values. Asking yourself, what does fulfillment feel like for me right now? What truly matters?
Maybe it's flow or connection or authenticity, things that aren't measured on a performance review.
It's a deep internal shift.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It requires patience.
And tolerance for discomfort, I imagine. Old habits die hard.
They do. The inner critic will likely show up. Old anxieties might resurface. The key is choosing again and again to meet those challenges with awareness and kindness rather than getting swept away by them. That builds resilience.
It's about integrating the difficult parts, not pretending they don't exist.
Exactly. Integrating them into a larger sense of wholeness.
And sometimes, the truth might be that the work itself, even though once loved, just doesn't fit anymore.
That's a really important possibility to acknowledge. And realizing that isn't failure. It can actually be incredibly liberating.
An opening.
An opening to new directions, new identities, new ways of engaging with the world, maybe even with that same field, but from a different angle with more flexibility, perhaps.
It makes sense that this process would bring up a whole mix of feelings, hope, fear, excitement, confusion.
All completely normal. It's the territory of transformation. It's messy and uncertain, and that's okay.
So that final question feels really central. What would it mean to meet yourself exactly where you are right now?
Yes, with kindness, with curiosity,
Yeah.
without the should.
Letting go of where you think you ought to be and seeing this moment, even the discomfort, as a doorway.
A doorway to potentially redefining what truly matters to you. There's no single right answer here. It's your path.
Guided by your own experience, your own inner knowing.
Trusting that that spark is still within you. It might just look different now, waiting to be rediscovered in its current form.
And remembering that paradox. Endings are beginnings.
Letting go creates space. Trusting your capacity to navigate what unfolds.
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep listening deeply to your own heart. Your passion story isn't over. It's transforming.
So let's just take one more breath together here. Feel your own presence. Trust that inner guidance as you move forward.
Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into your relationship with work.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We really touched on the power of being present, understanding resistance, and maybe shifting how we define success internally.
Our hope is that you'll carry these reflections with you. Just notice what emerges in your own experience over the coming days and weeks. No pressure, just gentle noticing.
And remember, this is an ongoing process. Be kind to yourself. Stay curious.
Perhaps a final thought to ponder. What one small, gentle experiment could you try this week, just to explore your relationship with your work, with a little more kindness, a little more curiosity,